sometimes I hate camp for this specific reason where you have season-ending injuries and you have injuries and, guys are resting, guys are not getting reps, or guys that you really need to have reps with are not getting them. And that's the crappy part about Eagles training camp or just training camp in general with all NFL teams. So we actually have some injuries to talk about here. We'll go over the press conferences at the end of this video for Sean Desai, Jeff Stalin, Olamide Zacchaeus. So the 6th day, we've already been through a week of training camp so far. We have open training camp to the public on Sunday, and we are 8 days away from our first preseason game. So kind of nuts, kind of crazy, and definitely it might be a little ranting, might be a little bit longer than expected. I don't know, but let's just see what happens here.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. Hope everyone is enjoying their Friday and the start of a fantastic weekend. We got open practice. We've been through a week of training camp already. And to kind of figure from you guys, what do you think about Eagles training camp so far? What's been going on? And this 6th day was an interesting one because we found out most of this injury report has been added from some injuries from the other day. So new names to the list right now with James Bradbury with a groin day today, which Josh Jobe was taking over outside corner for him today and actually played pretty well. I think Josh Jobe has been doing a pretty good job on the outside so far. Deon Cain, 3rd day with the ankle still out. I mean, this ankle thing must be, a little bit more serious. It wasn't just a twisted ankle. Maybe it was a little bit worse than that. So another receiver missing a lot of time, at least a receiver missing time right now. And I really want to see what Deon Cain could do. Hopefully he is back soon. Nakobe Dean with an ankle injury day by day. So we probably won't see him at open practice, most likely. Most likely not. Probably not till later next week. If it's a day-to-day injury, it's going to be 4 to 5 days, most likely. And that really sucks because Nakobe Dean needs as much work as possible. And I understand he had a sample size last year, and he didn't even play, never played a full game, never played a quarter of a game, played, maybe a quarter. Maybe I could be fair and probably say that. But it was, I really need Nakobe Dean to get as many reps as possible. But has enough time, even if he doesn't, I think he'll be fine. But, when we get to joint practices, he'll probably get some reps, for the, even for preseason. I don't doubt it, but I think he'll get the work. I'm not making a big deal about it, but, when you see a player like this that you really need more reps from, kind of sucks. But limited, you had Barnett with the knee as usual, Maddox with the toe, and Reddick had the groin, but was with the second-team defense today. Not a full go, but Reddick is getting there, so let's not make a big deal about that. Doing a pretty good job. He'll be back soon. There's no reason to rush him back. Interesting enough, Patrick Johnson, unfortunately, was carted off the field today. Looks like a knee injury. Looks like it is season-ending, so probably an ACL most likely, and that sucks. You lose depth at defensive end now. You lose depth at outside linebacker. 2 positions, or at least with outside linebackers, a position of need. And obviously Nakobe Dean's out right now, so it kind of sucks you're losing 2 guys. And like I said, Patrick Johnson has been getting more work at defensive end. I think a little bit of both, but moving guys around. Desai has been moving guys around to see what the strengths and weaknesses of some of these players are. It's really just the evaluation period right now for some of these players, for Sean Desai. So, this is a crappy loss. His camp hasn't been that bad, but not great. I mean, he got a sack on, I think, Mariota or Hurts the other day. I think he made a play the other day at training camp. So, he's been doing things here and there. He's gotten pressure at times, so I think he's the best defensive end on the roster. Definitely not. And I figured the Eagles would at least sign another guy in the trenches since Yannick Ngakoue signed that 1-year, $10.5 million deal to the Chicago Bears. So the Eagles missed out on Yannick Ngakoue, and I know people are like, dude, we don't need him. I'm like, dude, I understand, but they need to compensate for something here because, and I understand it's very early, so we didn't sign Chauncey till later on. I get it. They like making those late trades. So I feel like a move will be coming soon. Don't know what it is, but they got to do something. So that's really crappy for Patrick Johnson, and it's really sucky, man. It's the crappy part of training camp when you go through all of this. Now, to get to some of the news here, Jalen Hurts actually threw his first pick today in a 2-minute drill and threw a really bad pass to big play Slay, got the pick, and it was actually almost picked off a second time. It was, in a pass to A.J. Brown that was tipped and almost intercepted, so almost had 2 picks today. But, had a pretty good day today. I think he was 11 for 13, 1 touchdown, 1 pick today when it comes to passing. And Hurts rolled out to his right. He hit Dallas Goedert for 10-plus yards. Hurts hit Devontae Smith back of the end zone, tiptoe touchdown to Devontae Smith, which I thought was pretty cool. I talked about the one to AJ was pretty good as well. They had a 3rd and 5, and Hurts got yelled at for something by Nick Sirianni, and Hurts just started punishing himself and doing push-ups middle of the practice, which I think, obviously it's accountability. When he knows he screws up, he's got to pay for it. So I totally get that. But overall, I mean, Marcus Mariota had a touchdown to Joseph Nada, which was, Nada's made a couple catches, his first touchdown in camp. Obviously, this time the bigger receiver, probably the receiver that's close to A.J. Brown, as in would be a nice backup for him. But obviously, need to see more between all these receivers. I've heard nothing from Charleston Rambo and Jaden Hazelwood and some of these other guys. I've heard absolutely nothing from any of these guys really making a noise, especially guys that used to play with Jalen Hurts or have had chemistry with him in the past. So kind of crazy. So, Hurts, I guess a bad day for him is throwing a pick or almost having 2 picks. So I guess it was a good day, but a bad day probably to him, probably not the perfect day. But was a complete 11 passes today, did a fantastic job. So can't complain about that. And obviously, we talked about Marcus Mariota. Ran the ball a few times pretty well. Had a touchdown to Nada today. So he's had a significantly better day than he's had. He's only had this probably 2 good days and 4 bad days at the end of the day. So now, interesting enough, with Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen, so both of these guys got a lot of reps on both teams. Now, this was interesting. So Steen was playing right guard, Jurgens was playing center. So I don't know if Kelsey was off today or they just gave him a rest day, because with some of the, the older vets, sometimes they give him those rest days. So, Jurgens got, more reps at center, which we definitely need. So he should be cross-training at both positions. There's no doubt about it. Tyler Steen is, playing left tackle on the second team, which is interesting. And he was playing right guard next to Jurgens on the first team. Obviously, Tyler Steen, came out of college playing left tackle, for Alabama, and got to the NFL, and now it's kind of cross-training to right guard, which is pretty good. You know what I mean? So I'm glad. I don't know if they put him into. I don't know if Dennis Kelly's okay, or maybe they got Dennis Kelly somewhere else. We're not there. We can't see who else is lined up with the second team. But I guess they just threw him there to see what he could do, and I'm glad that there's a lot of cross-training going on. Especially, you never know what Kelsey could retire after this year, and, Jurgens is going to be ready to go. And a lot of good words at the end of this video. I'll talk about the Jeff Stalin press conference. A lot of good words were said by Jeff Stalin, too. So both of these guys are getting a lot of work. And Tyler Steen is cross-training a little bit. And, I think they're having a very strong camp right now. So both of these guys are doing excellent. Now, Quez Watkins had a fantastic day today. Did a lot of one-on-ones against DBs and was burning all of them for catches. I mean, he's running routes with a purpose. He's showing that he's putting his stamp down that he is ready to be the wide receiver 3 that we need this year on a contract year. The motivation and how he looks at himself and, making it seem like he is elite and kind of having that mindset to give him more motivation is awesome from we heard a couple days ago. But a strong camp from Quez Watkins so far. And, the only problem I have is, can he do this during the season? Practice is practice, training camp is training camp, joint practices are joint practices. But when it comes to a football game, an actual game with pressure on the line, will he haul on these catches? That's going to be the big problem going forward. So, I think he is clearly winning the wide receiver 3 spot. There's no doubt about it. And, that's all I got to say about that. Now, with Bradbury out, Josh Jobe has been getting a lot of reps at the outside corner position, which is great. And he had a pass breakup on Devontae Smith. And that was actually one of the 2 reps. One, he was beaten for a touchdown back of the end zone. And then He, had a pass break on him as well. And I got to say, like, the corner spot as what it's looking depth-wise right now, I feel like it's I feel like Jobe has taken over that outside corner spot, and then you have in the nickel really McPherson and Josiah Scott at nickel mostly right now. Both guys been doing pretty well. And, and obviously Jobe's only getting the reps right now because, Bradbury was out. But, next man up mentality. You never know when you're going to need. We need certain depth at cornerback right now. We really need it. And some good things were said about other corners as well. Some other DBs from Sean Desai, which we'll talk about at the end of this video. But Josh Jobe playing pretty good right now. From really OTAs at training camp, he's been on the outside as the backup outside corner. So hopefully he plays a lot better. Now, Nolan Smith is an interesting one, and not interesting as in I'm not surprised by this, but Sean Desai has been moving him around even more, playing more outside linebacker, seeing what he could do on the edge with his speed. And really, all the beat writers, all they've been talking about all of training camp is, man, this guy is quick. This guy's got good technique. This guy is fast on the edge. But why waste it as being a full-time edge rusher where Sean Desai has used him as an off-the-ball linebacker, put him in coverage on Dallas Goedert, covering running backs or, watching the run or letting him just go in open space, using him as like a Micah Parsons type linebacker on the outside where he's hunting on the line of scrimmage and he's lining up on whatever side. And that's what I kind of want to use him. Sean Desai back in 21 with the Bears loved using those defensive ends wide on the edge, and he loved putting those linebackers right next to them. And I feel like that's how you're going to use, Nolan Smith this year with him. He's going to go hunting. They're going to line him up on that line of scrimmage and let him just be nasty and get pressure and shoot the gap really hard. So I'm excited to see what they do with Nolan Smith. That's why I feel like as much as we're complaining about, the injury to Nakobe Dean right now, day by day, Patrick Johnson's out for the whole entire season. And, is this the reason why the Eagles are not going after a linebacker right now? Because Nolan Smith can counter, can counter being in that position, and he has the athleticism to play that position as well. So, Sean Desai is still using guys, in different ways and seeing, where they could play and what the strength of some of these guys are. But Nolan Smith is definitely playing both positions this year. I don't care whether he's in coverage as a defensive end or he's a linebacker, but I sure as hell want him as an outside linebacker as well this year because I really want him to start spying on that defensive line and start lining up wherever he wants and lining up on the weak points of the line and just getting pressure and being disruptive. I think he's going to be a beast this year. I think he can actually have 8 sacks this year. I really do. Or he really surprises us even more. I think double digits. That's how good I think Nolan Smith is. Plus, Nolan Smith had first-team reps. Obviously, Reddick was with second team. He's not a full go yet. So Nolan Smith getting a lot of first-team reps, which I have no problem with whatsoever. So that's great. So really the last 2 days has been like some crazy change with Nolan Smith doing different things with him. So that's awesome. You're starting your starting linebackers for the day, from what I could see, was Nolan Smith and Christian Ellis. So Christian Ellis is still another linebacker that was added to the mix. Still, I guess is playing really good. I'm really hoping that he is good. I mean, I honestly don't know if he's just a bad player with worse players around him. I'm not sure. Because, like I said, we're only hearing, like, he starts first team, and we're thinking, okay, well, what's going on with Nicholas Morrow? Is he bombing it right now? Because I haven't heard much on Nicholas Morrow. Nicholas Morrow's not even playing first team. So, my gut feeling is Nicholas Morrow is playing hard, is having a bad camp, is not doing too well. I think Nicholas Morrow could shoot the gap and get tackles, but I don't think he's great at coverage, and I don't know if Sean Desai likes him that much. But Ellis, I don't know much about either when it comes to his coverage and what we're seeing at camp. And I feel like he makes great tackles. He takes over at I think he makes nice area tackles. He covers a lot with his feet because he's really quick. His agility's really good. His sidestep's really good. But other than that, I haven't really heard much of anything else on why Christian Ellis is he that good, or is this group like really that bad? Besides Nolan Smith obviously moving that position. Is this position as bad as it looks? That's the question going forward. I know I'm trying to make sense of it, but I ask myself this every single day when I talk about this. Like, are these linebackers, like, is Christian Ellis actually that good, or is this linebacker core actually the worst I've ever seen? But, we'll see in the future what happens. Hopefully joint practices will tell us with the public on Sunday. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a better thing with that. Now, I want to go over the press conferences for the Philadelphia Eagles today at the end of the day. Now, we heard from Sean Desai, interesting enough, and he definitely talked about, he talked about Keely Ringo. He talked about Sidney Brown learning, throwing a lot at them, and they're doing a really good job. They have speed, they have versatility. Talked about Mario Goodrich as well, another corner that they've really liked, that has versatility and is smart and gets in the right spot at the right time. And so it's nice to hear that Mario Goodrich is maybe having. I know the question was asked about Mario Goodrich, but I don't think he's going to be a starter or maybe not even make the roster this year. I think he'll be a practice squad guy. But if he's got versatility and maybe we don't know, guys. I mean, Sean Desai, like it really depends on your coordinator because Sean Desai could bring the best out of certain players, and a player that was on practice squad for a couple of years could end up like getting to the active roster at some point. And obviously guys play special teams, so I totally get it. So Desai, it was, really big on getting Nolan Smith as many reps as possible. And like I said, moving guys around, giving everybody a fair shot because he said there's no first team, second team, third team. He's giving everyone a fair advantage of winning a spot, but this is the evaluation period. He says it's way too early to know what's going on right now. They have some ideas that they're not going to throw out to the public, but he said that, this is just an early evaluation sequence right now. He says another 4 weeks we'll be ready to go, and all this is going to end and the season will be here before we know it. So, this is, like I said, this is, like he said, too early of an evaluation to say what's set in stone. There's really nothing set in stone right now until we really start getting, start hitting each other a little bit more, start facing another team in another jersey and getting some of these preseason games, which I'm really excited for. He talked about Jalen Hurts as well. Well, Jalen Hurts shows up to his office time and time again and, wants to pick his brain over, how to read a defense or defensive reads or, what to watch out if this happens. So, Jalen Hurts has been picking Sean Desai's brain as well. Sean Desai's like, sometimes like he just shows up to my office when I'm eating dinner and like, we talk, we watch tape, which is cool. You know what I mean? So, I mean, Hurts is taking advantage of every opportunity he has when it comes to all the time. He doesn't waste any time at all. I mean, when it comes to offensive game planning and getting everybody better and getting himself better, that's what he cares about. But picking the brain, something he doesn't even have to do is go to your defensive coordinator and eat lunch with him and sit down and watch tape over just how to read a defense in a certain way. And what if something happens here on this play? So there's a lot. I mean, Jalen Hurts has taken advantage of every resource that is brought to him. This guy wants to be a champion. This guy wants to be a winner. This guy is just so dedicated. It almost makes me want to cry at times, so it's kind of nuts. Now, I think the one thing that's really important about Sean Desai is he is a player's coach. Okay. And he's a smart coach. I could tell by the when he talks. I believe him when he talks about things. He says players can come up to me. I want to be friendly with everybody. I want. He wants to be a hard coach. Obviously, he's got to do his job. But when it comes down to players asking him questions, he's always open to it. And I like coaches like that aren't like it's a dictatorship and it's my way and it's not like the Army. He's open to different ideas. Now I know Gannon almost did the same thing, but players only went up to him because they didn't know how they were getting used in the defense. There was no feedback from the coach, so the players had to give him feedback on how to use them in the defense. That was so embarrassing last year. Like when I heard that question, or that might have been 21 because that was the excuse of not having enough players for the scheme. But we're done with that. I'm not talking about that anymore. This is Sean Desai now. But like I said, when he talks, I'm listening. And I never stray away from a press conference with Sean Desai. I do. I really don't. If I feel like he's just talking wind and just saying professional words and acting like he knows everything, I could probably tell off the bat. But from what I say, got a feeling he knows what he's doing. He was a Vic Fangio apprentice for a few years as a defensive quality guy. He was next to Vic Fangio for a few years and learned a lot from him. So we're thinking, as much as Vic Fangio could have been a defensive coordinator here, there's a big chance right now that Sean Desai might have a similar defense. But at the same time, it's going to be similar to Gannon's, but a little bit more creative. And we actually have a brain at defensive coordinator, which is good. So that was Sean Desai's press conference. Nothing much there, but that was before that was the only press conference before practice. So that's what we heard from him. Now, Jeff Stalin, we haven't heard from him in a while. Jeff Stalin, obviously one of the best, I think the number one offensive line coach in the league, and what he's done with some of these offensive linemen, in my opinion, the most versatile backup group of linemen we've had in a long time. Now the one thing really that really stood out was who reminds Jeff Stalin of Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens is almost the same as Brandon Brooks, and Jeff Stalin talked about Brandon Brooks and him are almost equal. Now, Brandon Brooks might be a little bit bigger in size, which kind of reminds him of Cam Jurgens. He's a big guy, but he's got really good feet. And that's what he said about Cam Jurgens. That reminds him of Brandon Brooks. Very good feet, and is going to be a fantastic player. And anything Jeff Stalin does with this offensive line, I never complain about it, because every move has been flawless by him. Every player that we've drafted, besides like Andre Dillard that was drafted high, which I think their Eagles really messed him up from redshirting him. And obviously, I think they blew his confidence, and he was getting hurt, so it didn't really help his own case either. But Jeff Stalin really, other than that, has done a flawless job with almost everybody. And it's great because a lot of the guys have been helping. Tyler Steen as well, which is interesting. Cam Jurgens has been helping Tyler Steen so much. It's weird because, like, with this team, it's training camp's supposed to be competition. I mean, these players are treating it like that, but they're not going to be selfish and not help somebody. And I feel like Tyler Steen is learning a lot from Landon Dickerson. Tyler Steen is learning a hell of a lot from Cam Jurgens right now. It's only going to get themselves better. I mean, Tyler Steen's making the roster. Cam Jurgens, it's like, even though it's a competition to start, or they both could start. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Even if one of them starts, they're still going to help each other out. They're both going to make the roster at the end of the day. So it's going to make each other better to cross-train and learn more things and show them different things. And like I said, Landon Dickerson has been a huge mentor to Tyler Steen as well, which is pretty cool, which we found out today. So the offensive line as a whole is just, I think the starters, obviously, you're looking for a right guard between Tyler Steen and Cam Jurgens. Cam Jurgens looks like he's taking the job right now. And really after that, Tyler Steen has options to, move, and be a backup left tackle, could be a right tackle, because really by the end of the day, like, if Kelsey retires, I feel like he will be the starting right guard going into next year, most likely. And then I feel like, future wise, like a few years from now when Lane Johnson retires, I feel like you could have a good right tackle in Tyler Steen. They might turn him into that. So we'll see. We're not going to go too far down the road, but Jeff Stalin has some nice things to say. And Cam Jurgens, man, it seems like it is the favorite right now. So we'll see. Now, Olamide Zacchaeus had a press conference. Final thing of the day as of right now. Olamide Zacchaeus talked about the competition between him and Quez, and him just working his tail off every day. But he doesn't look at this camp as a competition at wide receiver 3, which is interesting. Because, we're both going to be playing at the end of the day, and we have to help each other. And I think, maybe Zacchaeus has made, Quez a better player. I don't know. But I feel like Zacchaeus is going to make the roster regardless, because I think there's definitely a skill set there you can use, whether it's screen passes, whether it's slants. Now, today, Olamide Zacchaeus actually got banged up a little bit on a slant pass. He got hit pretty tough on a pass. He got it completed. He hauled it in for the catch. But he was fine. He got up and he was perfectly fine. So he doesn't look at the Quez Watkins thing as a wide receiver 3 competition at all. It's really just helping each other, and all that great stuff. They're going to compete in their own mind, but they're going to help each other. Like I said, it's a very selfless team at the end of the day. There's nobody being selfish at all. So I mean, there's got to be an it factor there with special teams, with Zacchaeus on special teams, because he is on the depth chart for punt return. Kick return, I'm not sure. And as a wide receiver, I mean, has burner speed, could play in the slot, could play outside, had his best season with the Falcons last year with Marcus Mariota, and, had over 500 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a pretty good year, his best year of his career with a pretty crappy offense. So can't imagine what he would look like in the slot with what's around that offense right now. It'd be pretty dangerous. But I feel like, I feel like they're going to use both of these guys. I don't feel like it's just going to be Quez Watkins. I feel like they will use mostly Quez most of the time, but I think with Zacchaeus, they'll have him in on some, trick plays or, end arounds or, because he's got the speed for it. He's got the burner speed for it. I think there's a lot there with him. So, yeah, I mean, that's really it. That's really all the news during Eagles training camp. I know it was a long video, and I didn't think it was going to be 25 minutes long, so I do apologize for that. But if you guys last this long in this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like the video as well. We have so I think most likely the Eagles are going to be off on Saturday, and then Sunday we will have open practice. I will not be there, unfortunately, but if you guys have clips and you want to send me some stuff on Twitter, send me some stuff on Twitter. As many clips as possible. I want to use as much stuff as possible because these are where the videos get really exciting because we're actually seeing stuff and we're getting more excited instead of just seeing tweets all day, which gets boring sometimes. But definitely check it all out. And we'll have training camp vids every single day. And yes, you guys have a great day. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Remember, shakes it up, follows up. Peace out, guys. Peace.